The banquet hall was an incredible sight. Up above Elise's head, rows of crystal chandeliers befitting the ballrooms of old English mansions shone brightly, dispelling any sense of anxiety she had about her gloomy future from her mind. She could now see everything and everyone clearly. Guests were settling down at their designated tables and were chatting joyfully away with each other. The scene in front of her eyes was that of a rich family's big wedding reception or a village's Chinese New Year's dinner. Jade explained that what Elise could see was only a part of the banquet. Guests who were retired celestial court officials or representatives of prominent families could sit indoors with them, along with employees of the court and the ghosts of commoners that were going to be recognised for exceptional services or behaviours in the past year were also invited inside to sit at the tables in the banquet hall with them. Tens of thousands of hungry ghosts would be feasting instead around the tables set up outside in the courtyard, and the group sometimes got so big that it was more than the mansion's yard could hold. The party would then spill over into the park outside, where the participants would bring their own tables, chairs and utensils, conjured by their spiritual power, to join the party. Jade had walked with her to the master's table and sat her there, next to a group of cordially dressed younger men and women, who introduced themselves as cousins of Michael and Ken. The master and his grandsons were busying themselves with last-minute preparation behind the long wooden screen that separated the guest hall and the massive kitchen. Elise had expected an offensive olfactory attack in the hall crammed full of souls, but she was instead taken surprise by the avalanche of mouth-watering fragrance from grilled meat wafting over from the nearby kitchens instead. She detected most distinctively the smells of Cantonese food staples like red barbecue pork and crispy grilled pork belly. Having sucked in a deep breath of the fragrance from these irresistible delicacies, she felt instantly revived, almost as if she had been given a boost from an energy drink. The tone of her skin turned from a shade of dull grey into light pink. Elise held up her hand to observe its change in curiosity, to which one of the women commented with a smile, "There's nothing like the smell of well-prepared pork for Chinese people." Elise nodded in agreement. "Look at you! Sniffing for food like a dog!" The ghost woman, who was Michael and Ken's grandmother, her hair and makeup properly fixed and groomed to perfection, had now slipped into a seat opposite to Elise and commented, "Show some manners when you're with us! Otherwise people would laugh at us for taking in a beggar from the street." Elise frowned at her nasty comment and looked away. "Don't mind her." Ken appeared out of thin air and had plopped himself on the seat next to Elise. "Everyone sniffs in the beginning. You'll get used to living like a ghost. Your olfactory sense becomes much stronger than any other senses, because this is how we find and eat food, vital skills to avoid going hungry all the time." Ken's comment was well meant, but Elise wasn't sure whether she was appeased by his words. Food for Chinese ghosts was immaterial, just like themselves. The best, most nutritious food for ghosts are burning incenses, or more precisely, the smokes produced by them, and second to it, the smells of cooked food. Grilled food is a staple for ghosts, and is often offered by the living to the dead because grilling would burn parts of the ingredients, making them available to the dead in fumes. "Is everyone dead in here?" Elise couldn't help but ask. She felt silly hearing her own words. "I'd rather use the word immortal. Some of us, like Michael and I, could traverse worlds, and we could take human forms, eat, sleep, and feel pain. Are we living, or are we dead? We were not even born to begin with. It's hard to put everyone into a single category," Ken replied with a smirk, and wiped his hands, which were only halfway transfigured from the shapes of paws into long, lean, human-like fingers. His stomach grumbled loudly, which made everyone around the table giggle. "I hope the banquet starts soon because I'm starving, and when I'm starving I don't have enough energy to shapeshift," he explained to Elise, who was shocked by the odd form of his hands, unable to look away. "Dong! Dong!" Loud gongs reverberated in the hall. Everyone was hushed by the signal for the beginning of the banquet. Master Su's house councils walked in and formed a corridor leading to the front of the banquet hall. Between them, Michael, who was wearing an elegant cheongsam in deep purple-coloured silk, embroidered with patterns of silver dragons, emerged and greeted everyone. He then stood to the side, took a deep breath, and announced, "I, Civil Magistrate Michael Su from the Regional Celestial Court of Hong Kong, welcomes our esteemed guests from all corners of China to the annual Yulan Festival banquet at the Chamber of Life and Nutrition." His voice echoed in the quickly silenced hall. Everyone got up from their seats. Elise was not prepared for this and almost choked on the warm tea that she was sipping. Quickly she put it down and followed the gazes of the others towards the heavy double doors on the side of the hall. A pair of celestial guards in heavy armours, wearing dull expressions, pulled them apart, revealing a procession of men and women in equally elaborate silk clothing with embroidered Chinese mystical animal designs in varying colours that represented their jurisdictions. Michael exchanged nods with them. Ken, on the other hand, averted his eyes from the guests. Their grandmother squeezed her lips together and crossed her arms in impatience. Her reaction made Elise laugh. A smaller man in servant's uniform announced the arrival of the host and his entourage. "Honourable Supreme Judge Master Su of the Regional Celestial Court of Hong Kong!" Elise craned her neck to look at the master of the house once more. She could see him now so much more clearly than she did before. Sporting a very beautiful black silk robe with golden dragon and phoenix designs, the master scanned the room and nodded amiably at his guests. He had a very prominent jaw, covered by a waterfall of beard, and his eyes were opened wide and alert. They seemed to be able to take in everything within these walls and beyond.